Hello, welcome to Share It with Merit. This is the last in my 3Bs series videos, the beliefs, boundaries, and behaviors. And we are on behavior. Lots to say about our behavior. This is really where we take ownership of things. This is, really about how we show up in the world and the behavior that we choose. And behavior, to me anyway, often sounds like what I do sort of physically with my body and how I move around and my tone of my voice. And yes, it is all of those things, but really what behavior is the words that you use, right? What comes out of our mouth. Language is so incredibly important. It is how we conceptualize our world, and it is how we communicate with each other and how we communicate our values, our beliefs, our intentions. And, you know, the words that we choose to use make a huge difference in how the world responds to us, right? And the good news is we have this filtering system, so I've talked before, sometimes thoughts come and it doesn't mean they need to be shared. They often don't need to be listened to, or believed either. Thoughts come, right? And so as we gain more proficiency over our own psychologies, our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors, and we start to really work with that system as a whole, right? A little bit of a tangent, but I often say that Western science was really good at pulling things, is really good at pulling things apart, but not always at putting things back together. So the mind and the body, not separate, all part of the same system, right? And so the feelings we feel here and in our gut and down below, right? The thoughts and the beliefs up here, and then the behavior is sort of all of it. And so with language, we have the ability to really be intentional about our behaviors, right? And the words that we use and the information that we share is a reflection of us, right? Is a reflection of who we are. And this is another Meritism is that better to be the recipient of an insult than the creator of one, right? Because think about an insult, right? It's a violence, it's a harshness, right? It's rude, and it doesn't solve anything. It creates space. It's a rejection, right? It's a disengagement, right? It's going to create disengagement with others, right? And as hard as it is to be on the receiving end of that, right? Because whoever is, hurling that insult your way, that's a reflection of them, though, not you, right? It may feel like it, and you may take it in. And that's where it's really important for you to see that difference, because when we talk about boundaries and beliefs and behaviors, if someone insults me, my instinct is going to be to defend myself, right? No, how dare you, right? And that's a good thing, right? That's the ego protecting me, saying, hey, I don't think I want to accept this, right? However, what often happens as we grow up, the world will start to tell us, we're good at things, we're bad at things, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And the more that we then internalize someone else's belief about us, someone else's words about us, and if we want to internalize the good stuff, but often we internalize the not so good stuff, and that's where these feelings and these beliefs about ourselves can start to derail us. And then if we start to feel bad and shitty about ourselves, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to start hurling insults at others, right? Because when you feel bad about yourself, the instinct is to either disengage or shoot other people down to get to your level, right? So, like, for example, if you want to be kinder to others, start being kinder to yourself. If you want to say kinder things to others, start saying kinder things about yourself. Never say anything about yourself that you don't want to be true, because as you internalize bad stuff that the world has told you about yourself, well, now there's no defense. If someone else calls me an idiot, I can say, hey, that's not fair or true or nice. Go away. Don't call me that. I can shield up. If I say, yeah, you know what? I'm an idiot. There's no, that goes in as deep as it could go. And now I'm going to start behaving in the world from that belief system, right? Yeah, I'm an idiot. That's going to affect my thoughts. It's going to affect my feelings. And it's certainly going to affect my behaviors, right? And now I'm subject to that process of, as the more insecure I feel, the more I have to pull other people down, right? To feel at least some semblance of balance, right? Well, not everybody works this way, but I'm giving examples to kind of explain how the process works, right? And, so it's really hard, again, to be the target of an insult, but the more that you build up your inner resilience and your inner love and respect and all that, you can start to see, oh, that's actually not about me. That's about them. Think about haters for a second, right? I'm fascinated by haters, and it works into this whole process, right? Haters from behind the keyboard just spewing out nasty, horrible, just opinions that aren't useful or helpful. An opinion can be fine, but if it's just to tear somebody else down, you're just making the world a worse place, period, right? But the haters, really, they need more love than anybody, right? Because they're creating the hate. You may be a target of it, but they're sitting with it all the time. Their whole world is about, how can I just tear somebody else down today? And that's not a pleasant way to be, right? And most people, are not born that way, right? And if we start to look into their history and their experience, it's going to line up, and we're going to find out exactly how they got to be in that place, right? Because the world was not kind to them, and that's what they know, right? That's that belief system that got put onto them. Blank slate born. Now they're told they're not good enough, all that stuff. And their way of coping with that is to just put that back out into the world, right? And well, I'm not really tangenting. We're really honing in on how important language is, right? Because that is our behavior. That hating, that's all language, right? That is their behavior. They're choosing to take to the keyboard and spew out hate, right? That is their behavior, right? And that's a reflection of them, right? So what is my word to you is to be a part of the good in the world, right? And the way you do that is with your words and certainly your actions, right? Which is all based in your belief system. So all of these three B's really do run together, right? And they're they interrelate. There's a dynamic there between all of these. And I hope you can see through these videos kind of how this process and this system works, and that the ultimate outcome is, the words out of your mouth and the deeds that you do. And I think I want to just kind of add on here that, it can be hard. Well, duh, Mary, it can be very hard. Again, this stuff is so much easier said than done, but we got to start somewhere. And one of the ways I think about it is that, let me share. This is one of my most favorite metaphors that I like to share, which is imagine the pack of zebras running through the Serengeti, right? And The zebra in the middle, safest zebra. Worst view, right? Just looking at another zebra butt, right? Safe, but boring, right? Zebra on the edge, fresh air, catching the views, living life, but taking all the risks, right? So we and here's the thing, no zebra stays in the middle all the time and no zebra stays at the end, right? You go back and forth. You go out, you engage, maybe you get nipped or hurt, and then you come back, you seek safety, you lick your wounds, you rehab, you recharge, and then you slowly make your way back out. It's the same with us humans, okay? No one ever lives in the space of being altruistic and giving out goodness all of the time. Believe me, I do my best, and it's, I'll maybe give myself 70%. Okay. But I got to come back to the middle. I got to come back and seek safety and recoup and think about my behaviors and my words and who I am and who I want to be, right? And then how I'm also going to defend myself against those parts of the world that we've talked about, the anger and the hate and all of that, without absorbing it myself and without becoming annihilated by it, right? And it's hard. And that's what I mean by it's being hard, because the world can feel, with all the negative stuff, and we have a negativity bias. We have a tendency toward looking for problems and threats, right? So we're already born in that survival mode of, what's going to go wrong and what could go wrong. So we're already trying to survive by paying attention to all of this stuff, right? And we have to try to kind of work with that and override it with the parts of our brain that allow us to thrive, right? And recognize, okay, yeah, the world can be scary and all that stuff's out there, but what can I control? I can't control all of that, right? I can't control, the number one thing people want to change is somebody else. Got to let go of that, because this is the only person you can change, right? And one of the ways that you can do that is recognize that, okay, that most of the stuff outside of me is out of my control, right? What is in my control are my words, my behaviors, right? And I can just affect this bubble around me, this space around me, as I move through my life and this, tiny little speck of the world that I'm in. I can bring positivity. I can bring love. I can bring joy and growth and curiosity. And I can bring all of the things that I choose to value. Again, not 100% of the time, but you shoot here to get here, right? You set those intentions, and then you practice, right? You start catching, ooh, I'm doing this right now. I'm a pretty sassy person, and I can sometimes say things that are a little bitey, and I don't mean harm, but it doesn't mean harm isn't happening, right? And I've become much more aware of that lately, and I just don't want to do that anymore. Even if it's, in good fun and humor, I just don't think that that's really the energy I want to be putting out anymore. So, work in progress, right? And so just be thinking about, your words and your deeds. That is essentially your behaviors. And, start thinking about, well, not start, maybe you're already thinking about it, but, think about it in the context of, your personal energy is just as valuable as anybody else's, and it's just as effective. We're all born with the same amount of personal power and energy. And you probably experience, whenever you walk into a room, you change the energy in that room, and you get to decide in what way you're going to change that energy. And it's based on what you bring forth, what you say, and what you do. Okay, there's your behaviors component of the 3 Bs. And I hope that this information has been helpful. That is the spirit in which I'm putting it out. But feel free to have comments, questions. And as always, you can find me at shareitwithmerit.com.